would this value chain start? Let's say the industrialization of the waste industry.
So
The value chain.
effectively,
At the factories, or how?
so it's actually a loop if we want to look at it from a circular perspective. The first step any producer or manufacturer has to take actually starts at the design phase. Whenever I design a product, I need to make sure this product is using the least amount of physical material as possible to reduce waste. And actually, even in the new strategy for the integrated waste management sector in Lebanon, the pyramid of waste starts with reduction.
Yeah.
So I need to reduce the waste through proper design.
And this is how, sorry, Abbas, it's so important. It's how I start one of my signature trainings. This prevention is the best solution. Reducing from the stores, from the design.
Absolutely, and this is a logic that we need to rely.
May I also add that it doesn't have to be. لأنه I know as manufacturers we now view recyclable material is more expensive, it's harder to source, has more like complications. حتى you might have to adapt your equipment to it. But sometimes you can just choose strategically, even if it's standard material, the combination of label and bottle you use, for example, or something like that.
So we need to find, there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly.
We need to adapt to, for example, in Lebanon, we cannot be theoretical and put all these regulations and have these expectations without taking into account, first of all, the current socio-political and economic context that we are in. So coming in the middle of an economic crisis and imposing a lot of regulations, this is not to say that these regulations are not important, but if the market is not ready for them and they are not gradually, they will simply not be implemented, and we will see a lot of informal processes happening. So we need to work with the industrial sector to understand the readiness and put together a plan that gradually gets us to achieve a lot of the targets and infrastructure upgrade that you are talking about. At the same time, we need a proper market. We need the market to take it up, which means that we need to make it interesting economically for companies to reduce their waste, to upgrade this infrastructure, and this is where subsidies, eco-labeling, tax cuts, for example, or so on. This is where also a lot of the public awareness, trying to shift demand towards more eco-friendly products and so on. This is where also the market dynamics play a role. We need to use both. Obviously, sometimes a market exists and we need to regulate it, but a lot of times we can also sort of steer the market towards certain practices and consumer behavior, which eventually allows us for a win-win situation, let's say, across all parties.
The manufacturers are in a very powerful place to shift consumer behaviors.
Absolutely.
By offering them by choosing the package and also communicating on their packages, creating awareness this way. Once you're consuming a product, you're gonna read what's on it. This is basic.
Absolutely.
For example, a small idea,
And this is where awareness plays a very important role, because at the end of the day, we are talking about consumer behavior and we are talking about making a choice. Why am I going to purchase this product and not the other? So there's always the economic aspect of things. The rational consumer purchases the least expensive product. So this is where understanding the market is very important, because if only half of my companies are, let's say, introducing eco-friendly measures that eventually cost a bit more, they will lose their competitiveness. And it's unfair to punish them or to reduce their part of the market because they're doing the environmentally friendly thing. So we need to understand that regulation should come across an entire market or sector industry. We should not make it more, people should not be competing on whether they are making environmentally friendly products or not, because it will punish those who are the companies that are doing the right thing.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. Second, we also need the consumer to be aware, and this is why again, understanding recycling and recycling markets or the entire green industry, all of this really is not a purely environmental topic. We are not talking about environmental chemistry or pollutions or emissions and so on. We are really talking about understanding the market, the consumer, and the governance model of it all. Because, for example, the solutions are very much about raising awareness, about empowering the consumers, about working with producers, and this is where again the Ministry of Industry has a very important role to play.